Say you're 34, you work on a roof, you fall off, and you crush your fucking heel, right? It's all shattered. The doctor 10, 15 years ago was like, that's fucked up, that really hurts. You're gonna need some opioids to kill that pain. And then the DEA says, no, you can't have those anymore. These doctors have to tighten up their prescriptions. And now you don't have any, you can't afford them. What do? You can take Kratom. It has the same effects, it's less addictive, and it's more gross. So that even brings down the use. You're not gonna use it as much. Kratom kills the pain in your body. It also cures social anxiety.
The government's solution to stuff like this is always prohibition, which means putting more people in jail.
How big is your appetite for the war on drugs? I'm sure it's small. It's shrinking every single day. Don't let them continue it. Don't let them outlaw more stuff.
Good point.
Thank you. How many times have you gone into work and then looked at your boss and said, what are they doing? You ever think about the levels at a job, Brett? Of course, the people on the very bottom. What do?
Usually clean.
Yeah, and then there is the people just above them. They're the ones that do the second hardest job at the place, right?
Deal with customers?
Yeah, that sort of thing. And then there's another level above that, and that's the manager that's in the place. Now let's think about what comes after that, right? You might have a guy named like Glenn that comes to your office every 6 months, and you have to lay out the red carpet for Glenn. Think about what the person above Glenn does. Jerry is the person above Glenn, right?
Okay.
His job is basically going to lunch, right?
Yeah, powerful meetings, shaking hands real hard.
We're gonna go up to the CEO now. The people that sit around a table and who knows what they're doing? Nobody knows what they talk about.
Playing cards.
What connection does that person have to what you do and what the customer gets? It just seems like you could really chop like 5 or 6 levels off of any job and the company would still run perfectly.
Think about your job. Now imagine your manager isn't there. How much smoother would your day run?
I mean, how many of you work a job where you don't even know who the fucking CEO is of the company? That means they're absolutely useless. They're parasites.
They're on the top, getting most of the money, sending their kids to private school, driving the fanciest cars, and they can't make a sandwich. Every new level of hierarchy is more money coming out of your paycheck. Unions are fucking great because it's not HR.
You need solidarity with the other workers. We need to use that and exercise that. You and your other workers are the most important people at that company. I mean, hell, the way I think about it, maybe you don't get a union at all and you just take the whole company away from the bosses, and that's called a co-op.
For the almighty dollar, everyone's a slave. Cause what's the point of doing shit if you ain't getting paid?
Before we commence expelling this ghost from this location, before we save Jake from the lock, I will light the ceremonial herb that will give us the sight, that will give us the power we need to set Jake free. My Twitter's not working out here. Let's see if you can get a ghost. Go ahead and try. See. I summon the ghost into ghostly ghostness. Come the fuck out if you're a real ghost. Now. Demand it. This is how we fucking hunt ghosts. And as we've pointed out, and as we've said, there are no ghosts. So this is where the ghosts live, from what we know. And he's not home. Let me see, let me try this. Jake, you may overtake my body. I accept you into my heart and soul. Please, if you are here, take control of me. Use me as a vessel. Gross. Nothing. Yeah, no ghosts. So I guess the lesson of Beaver Creek is there's no such thing as ghosts. There's no God, and the Bible is a lie. Off to Helltown to find out what the government's up to. in the middle of fucking nowhere, Ohio. Hell yeah, bumping out here. Can I get some of this safety herb in my lungs, please? And thank you, are welcome here. Jake, you can't have any because they drug test. Yeah, if you go to work, man, you're gonna get drug tested. Jake, you son of a bitch! You get out here! Hey, Jake! Ain't coming. He ain't coming because he's afraid of me, Brian Quinby from Street Fight Radio. Brett, would you like a shot at Jake?
Yeah.
Ah! I just fell in a hole. That was Jake. That was all Jake. I think we found the ghost. Jake won't let you see your mentions. He's like, don't look at your phone while you're at work, motherfucker.
Polite
It's
about
just
it.
not the polite way to have
Yeah.
sex.
That's just
I-
really one way to have sex
gonna-
that's polite, and it's to say, ma'am, or sir, or non-binary person, would you like to enjoy some making love with me? And then if they answer yes, then you mount that person and you move back and forth politely, and then you kind of finish it up and you say that was great, and then you never mention it again. That's the right way to have sex, okay?
And folks, and that's why we don't do any sort of sex advice or sex stuff on this show, because there's none to be given.
I am
From-
wise.
I want you to write the polite sex book, like the proper polite method.
I just said it.
You know, you probably hear people constantly talking about this horrible thing called capitalism.
I have.
Yeah, you've heard that?
Yes.
You're like, what? How does capitalism affect me? I will tell you, it runs your entire fucking life. You've probably heard of socialism or communism. Communism! And they say they try to control your entire life. Your whole day is taken away from you. What control do you have over your day now?
Most people have to be chained to a desk for 40 hours a week, and they're not allowed to leave.
When you wake up in the morning and you feel like shit and you have to wipe the sleep from your eyes and like
listeners of Street Fight Radio. Thanks for showing up to the show. Just playing on my phone. All right, we started the show. We're in a different setup right now. If you're on the stream, we are in our brand new Means TV setup, so things are not all the way together. But welcome to the show. It's another Wednesday night, time for a street fight. We're doing the basement show in much improved conditions. We've got the backsplash here, courtesy of our friend Wavy. You can follow him at _WXVVY on Instagram if you want to see more of what he does. We've also got a t-shirt fundraiser we're working out with him and a mask. You can head to store.streetfightradio.com if you want to get into that. Patreon people, y'all got a discount code. But this is a very temporary setup for the live stream. I know that a lot of y'all listen as a podcast. We appreciate it. Give us those 5-star reviews on iTunes and Stitcher and all those things, Google Play, whatever it may be. But for now, we are in the Means TV setup. We're getting close to the launch of the show. Hopefully start getting things down on wax at the beginning of September. Maybe get it to you by the end of September. You know, that's my hopes, but we'll see what happens. We've got Brian and I, along with Drew Spears and Simone Norman. You may know them from online. Brilliant folks that are putting together our show that's finally going to happen soon. So we appreciate everybody that's been listening forever. This has been 9 years in the making that we've been doing Street Fight. We started on community radio, WCRS-FM, way back when. And it's been a wonderful journey, and we've made a lot of friends, and we have a great community of people. And the next fucking phase of this is popping off right now. So it's the Basement Show, Sunday night. We do the call-in Street Fight. So if you're a worker, you can get your shit in then. But for tonight, it's Brian and I yelling at each other, just like old times. And I got the chat on my phone. That's why I'm like real discombobulated.
Yeah. I got all the info for the show on my phone. So that's why I'm looking at my phone. I'm not being inattentive. I am doing my job. I'm running this show, you know. That's what I do.
I just spilled 3 ounces of beer on this chair.
This floor is terrible. We just got this floor, and he's spilling it all over the place. But it's fine with me. I don't care. I don't have to lay on it or anything. So
It's concrete.
It is concrete.
Actually, I wanted to like wring Nick's neck when he was like, "Oh my God, there's this beautiful concrete underneath," because I'm somebody that's never thought of concrete as being beautiful. Like for like modern and like cutting edge design, everybody is just taking all of the like hard floor and carpet out of everything and just leaving a cold concrete floor. I hate it.
Well, that's nice though. I mean, it's like living in a basement, your mom's basement, right?
Yeah. It cleans easily.
Yeah, it does clean easily, easier than hardwood.
But like all that minimalist shit, I'm feeling more suburban. I hated carpet forever, but we have half carpet in the room now. And I just kind of want to cozy up on Grandma's carpet right now.
Like the carpet side of the room better?
Yeah, the carpet's looking good.
I like this side. It makes us look cool. We got the graffiti behind us, the mural. It makes us look extremely cool. And you can see my legs. So everybody check out the old Legaroos tonight. They're looking good. My calves, very strong calves from all my walking, which is nice.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah. So it is Wednesday night, which is the night that the basketball boycotts are happening in solidarity with the shooting in Kenosha, Wisconsin. I'm trying to go to the page because here's the thing. Not on Twitter this week. So, I am back. If you need me before I get my account back, it's Murder X Brian on Twitter. I put an X in the middle of it. It's straight edge. But in protest of the Jacob Blake,
yes,
shooting. Like I said, I haven't seen any news except for my Google cards. Yeah, I sit on Twitter and click articles.
Google cards don't have anything about Jacob Blake?
I'll tell you what Google Cards has right now. I always like to, every once in a while, we go and check out what my Google Cards are are covering right now. It's loading. Brian
Honestly-
Head Welch reacts to a company that stole Korn's logo design and name.
Okay. I'm honestly, though, I was really excited to see that the Milwaukee Bucks weren't going to play in protest, because when I saw the write-up on it, they explained that everybody went out there and put, like, all of the names on the back of the chairs for each player. Like, they went through the whole process to play the game, and just that it finally set in, like, they're not going to play the fucking game.
Oh, I know.
It's just so powerful.
It is. It
Like,
is.
this is like, these things stop time in a way, because even though there are protests and all these uprisings happening, the basketball is supposed to be a way to get away from it. Like, I've certainly used racing to get away from it, but NBA basketball is back and people are paying attention, and it's happening. They're like trying to compromise the whole playoffs into a shorter schedule, so you're getting all day fucking basketball.
Exciting. People were very excited too to have a season where every single game matters.
Yes.
You know, that's why everybody watches every game of the NFL. For you people that don't like sports ball or college football, every game kind of matters in that, and that's why it's like that's why it's America's kind of biggest game.
Yeah, you got a
because-
dozen games to play.
Yeah, but basketball usually has a lot of games. So does baseball, and these shorter seasons are basically cramming all of the good, meaningful basketball. Every game means something, and I don't know how many people. I didn't look at the ratings for the basketball, but I assume they were very high, because basically anything that's live has had high ratings lately.
Right,
you
that's
know?
what we want to see more than anything. I mean, everybody's cooped up, and this is a great way to spend your time. I mean, I told y'all I watched the Thursday concert, and just seeing like a chat room and just knowing that other people were there watching with it, like, it just added to the excitement. You know, like, knowing that people were there, we're all tuned into this thing that's live. It really does make a different atmosphere than like binging 7 hours of a TV show on Netflix. You know what I mean?
I was shitting on that WWE Thunderdome thing, which was basically they're in an arena now, and they have Zoom windows lined up around, so there's like people watching wrestling. You can see their faces and their reactions, and you know, I haven't watched it yet, and I don't know how people are reacting, and they're piping in the crowd noise, so like it's still a really weird discombobulated thing, but it is something to see other people enjoying the thing that you're watching. Or hating it, whatever. Just all of us sitting down and watching the same thing at the same time and talking about it is something that I think we really missed in the early days of COVID.
Well, and there's a level of conversation that we have going on with our online people, and you know that you're seeing it in real time. Like when I'm watching sports live and tweeting about it, I know that somebody else is out there doing the same fucking thing. Like, there's a camaraderie in that. You really do get to carry over, give yourself up to the moment and say, like, you know, they're doing sports right now, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not a TV show. It's not anything you've ever heard about before. Like, you're just watching it all together, and they cut that shit off.
Yeah. I mean, I think, like, you know, I don't know what. I know that the conservatives are mad, right? I don't know how much of the conservatives are basketball fans, to be honest. Like,
Yeah.
they have pretty much shunned everything.
Yeah, I mean, racism in basketball, like, you can't be racist in basketball and have a good time for too long.
Yeah. And also it's just like the NBA is more progressive, I think, than a lot of the other leagues.
I think the players are just more, you know, the way that, like, someone asked me about, like, the Formula One, Max Verstappen being 22 and, like, his stupid stance on, like, social issues. I think with basketball, you have the same thing. You have young guys that can get in there without going to college, that can just go straight to the sport and say what they want. And yeah, it's going to be a perspective that the American audience does not want to hear. You ask a young black man about America, they don't want to hear that perspective.
Well, but the thing about the NBA is like that they let them say it.
Right,
They have
that's
these
true.
like superstar guys. Like with football, you know, there's a couple of like real big superstars, but they're all like behind the helmets. It's the team. You know what I mean? And you know, Colin Kaepernick like really broke that kind of mold, but he's not in the league anymore.
Yeah.
You know, they drummed him out of the league. With the NBA, they have allowed their players to be politically active and have allowed their players to voice their political opinions, whether it's like wearing shirts that say, I can't breathe on the court or any of those things. And, or taking a knee or not coming out for the national anthem, that sort of thing. Like, they have allowed that to happen. Now, I don't think that the league is particularly thrilled at what's happening now.
They don't want this.
No.
They bought insurance against this, and they didn't want to cash in on the insurance because they'd rather have the game happen and sell Gatorade or whatever they're trying to do.
Right. And I don't even know what is gonna end up happening in the end here. Like, if the season's off, right? It seems to me like they're not gonna finish this season, which is incredible.
It's escalating. I mean, the momentum's going there. You have to ask, like, are you going to just walk away for one game? I mean, they could forfeit a game and come back and win in 6 or 7. I think this is the 5th game they're supposed to play.
Yeah, game 5.
So they can come back in 6 or 7, but at this point, why not just pause everything until we figure this out? I think it's there's been enough time between the George Floyd protest now that we have to say this is not a time to get back to usual for anybody, you know?
Yeah, no. And it's like, you know, we don't even... If this season had played out, just from what I know about sports and from my experience watching, I watched baseball for a few seasons. I watched a lot of football growing up. And just from my experience, this season wasn't going to be looked at the same as other seasons anyway.
Oh, yeah, it's
if that
asterisk
makes
season.
sense.
2020 is asterisk season for every sport.
Yeah. And it's like, if they're not playing... I mean, it makes a difference. It also shows people that you can strike. You can withhold your labor, which I think, like, when I'm seeing this, I am, like, very impressed with them withholding their labor.
That's all I think it is a matter of there's so much attention being put on them right now that they are doing it at the right time. They're withholding their labor at the moment when all of the sponsors are looking for them to continue with things as usual so we can ignore what's going on in Kenosha. And so they're jamming up those gears right at the right time. Like, perfectly played maneuver. When I saw the tweets start coming in that the Bucks weren't going to play, I was just overwhelmed. It was beautiful, wonderful, like a very smart move to make.
This could also be, again, the beginning of a wave of strikes, which would be... I mean, that would be incredible. We can strike.
And the moment right now is one where we're arguing against Biden voters who I would say 90% of Biden voters know he's not the ideal person. I think we're picking on people that know they have no other option. And I think that this is a chance to, like, elevate things in the current day and to make shit get hotter right now instead of talking about, like, voting it out. Using the power that you have in this moment to say no to what's happening.
I think that's a good point, and it's something I thought about in when the George Floyd protest started. That, like, the Democrats hate when this shit happens in an election year. They elect. This is why I'm very encouraged by what's going on. Is that, like, I have watched so many movements get stifled in an election year just by a bunch of people deciding to say, well, you got to vote. That's what we're all out here doing. We're out here doing voting. So that's the way you fix things right now. I'm not even, like, going to go on some tirade against voting either. Like, I think that if you...
Everybody studied up on that.
Yeah, and I think
even the young people know the end. Like, we're in a different circumstance. We're in an active lifestyle where revolutionary is a daily act that you make happen because everybody else is not going to do it. The system is not going to do it.
No, it's definitely that's the best point you can make, is that, like, this thing isn't going to change just because we want it to.
Without uncomfortability.
Yeah, and it's got to be really uncomfortable. It's got to, like, turn... We have to, like, keep turning up the heat on these
Establishment.
Democrats, anybody that's establishment. Here's the thing. Watching this Massachusetts Senate race, right? Like, I'm watching it from afar, not fully, because I don't follow the electoral stuff, but I have been watching it, right?
Yeah.
How everybody lined up behind another fucking Kennedy, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, I think he's gonna win because
Wouldn't you feel bad as being like the third of a dynasty and that you just show up and say vote for me? Like, how gross is that interior lifestyle of Joe Kennedy III when you know you're riding on the wakes of nobody? Like people that are just punchlines in history at this point, you know?
I mean, I think at first I thought, this guy's gonna win because he doesn't have charisma.
Yeah.
He said so many things that turned me off of the guy, right?
That's what people, I mean, that's what I feel like we're fighting against. Like, the Democrats are so by the book and so annoying. And like those Kennedy votes are going back to the normalcy where people didn't say they did pot out loud and people didn't cuck their wives and people did nothing that was like out of sorts and there was a normal society. Like, all of that neoliberalism for me goes back to a world that I knew was completely decayed and wrought with fucking...
Right. But so last week when I hadn't been on Twitter since Sunday, I got on today and I happened to see the poll numbers for the Markey versus Kennedy race.
Yeah.
Right? Markey is up by like double digits because I looked at that and I saw Nancy Pelosi endorse him. I saw them all line up behind a Kennedy again, right?
Circle the wagons.
And I was sort of like, we just watched this happen with the presidential race.
Yeah, they snuffed Bernie in a minute.
But I don't think you can do that. I don't think they actually have that kind of power in local and state races to be able to do that. I don't think that their endorsements matter as much in local and state elections. And this is something I said when Bernie Sanders got, beat. He did get beat. I mean, it probably wasn't fair and the whole thing was bullshit, but he did get beat. And I said that, like, we have to build from the ground up. Like the Republicans did that, dude. They were running for fucking governor. They were running for Senate.
Laura Loomer's running right now.
It's crazy.
They run anybody. Like, and we are, it's the same thing we were working with Morgan Harper, and her campaign is like creating this divisiveness with Joyce Beatty, who is somebody that's held up as like this Yaslay queen. Like, somebody, I respect Joyce Beatty's, experience in life and everything, but like it's resulted in this establishment Democrat stuff that just results in rich people getting rich and poor people
being told to fuck off. Not being told to fuck off necessarily, but being told, there's nothing we can do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's nothing we can really do, unfortunately. There's a bunch of things we would love to say we want to do. But we can't do anything. And like I said, I don't even know the Massachusetts race to me, more than anything. I know that a lot of people in our circle like Markey, which makes me think like, oh, well, he must be good for what they have. Right. You know what I mean? And he wears Jordans.
Ooh, what ones?
I don't know. Somebody got a picture of him.
Probably ones.
And he has made fun of Kennedy's for being a rich kid.
Yeah.
Which I think, like, in mainstream politics, Kennedy means something, but
not good.
No, I don't. Fuck him.
Kennedy's got us here.
Yeah.
The whole the issue, like what I'm coming to with, like the playground moms that I know and the circles that I'm in for like my elementary school Facebook for my child, is these people do talk like liberation. These people talk abolishment. These people talk things to get them right. But when it comes down to like the people to do it, they choose the ones that have betrayed us over and over again. They fall in line with the party, and you know, we are fucking it up because like if we're not gonna do like tanks and bombs and like full blown coup d'etat, we're gonna have to figure out to do Tea Party shit at least. I mean, we're like these elections have to swing in like an extremely radical fucking kill the police direction.
Do you think that what really happens is when it comes time to go to the voting booth, people want to win, and like they want to win.
The Republicans want to win. The Democrats don't want to win.
No, I don't mean the party, right? Like I don't think the Democrats have the will or the skills or any of the stuff to win. I don't think they understand the world that they deal in. I think they have like a really unrealistic view of what the actual world is like or even what people care about. It's like they watch The West Wing, which was a really popular TV show, and they're like, well, it was a popular TV show, so obviously people want that. I mean, but I do think that when playground moms or when the normal people that you know go to the voting booth, I do think they want to back a winner. I do think that what ends up happening is that like they were told a lot that Bernie Sanders, he communist, he's a socialist, he can't. All Donald Trump has to do is call him a communist, and people in middle America won't vote for him. So they went and pulled the lever for Joe Biden because in their mind, Joe Biden is a winner. He's been in office for a very long time. They're not counting the
He's
many
Obama.
Presidential primaries that he's lost.
He's third term Obama.
Right.
To a lot
That's
of
what
people.
they think. That's what they think. And like, I don't think it's going to be a shocker when I think he's going to get elected. My wife is so giving me grief about that. Just, what'd you say last time,
Yeah,
Brian?
you pick a loser, dude.
No, I don't see Trump getting a second term. But I also, in my life, only one president's had one term, you know?
Yeah,
so
that's true.
It might even I might be wrong. But that other president was a Republican. I think Trump is really unpopular.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I'm honestly so black-pilled at this point that I thought Trump was such an unlikable person that we could all roundly reject. And now that he's become the president, I can't imagine anything else. And to say that I know it either way would only just bring me more strife. Like, it would just make me feel really bad because I don't know how awful this place actually is. I don't have a good bearing on it. I wake up every day in misery and of the world and the way it exists, but it's actually worse than what I dream in my nightmares.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand not wanting to try to forecast it. I am a weird person that likes to make bold proclamations.
Only if money's on the line. I'll do it for money.
I mean, I should gamble.
Put
on it,
money.
To
Let's
tell you
get
the
a
truth,
hundo.
we should gamble on it.
Hundos.
Brett just made $100 bet. That is so good.
At a 6-year-old's birthday party.
It was so funny because like I saw it happen in real time, right? What's the bet that if
5 years on Trump
and Trump will die in the next 5 years
Yes,
is
that
the
was
bet, and
over
Brett is betting over that he's
Yes.
gonna live longer than 5 years. And a friend of ours saying no, he's gonna die within 5 years. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. What Brett's like, what do you want to bet, 100? And he was like, sure, I'll bet 100. And then the next day in our friend group chat, Brett was like, let's like draw up the papers for this $100 5-year bet. And I was like, man, I would take the over on that too. I would be very shocked because he has just the best. He's going to have the best health care for the rest of his life. Like the best. He can have Fauci work on his ass.
Every day he wakes up, he gets surgery on something that's wrong with him.
Yeah.
Like, he has a level of skincare that we don't even know about.
What?
People are like combing over every inch of his body to find that cancer shit.
Right. Dick Cheney is still alive.
Dick Cheney
you know?
fucking rocking it. Rumsfeld rocking it.
Henry Kissinger.
If you're Republican, you don't make it to 90, you're sorry. You didn't have enough money to stay alive. You're fucking booty. Right?
It's a funny. I'd be curious what the chat thinks about your bet, Brett. So
Hundo. I took a hundo.
no, but what do they think about?
So at his daughter's 11th birthday, we're gonna sing the thing, and then I'm gonna dance all over the cake when I win that fucking $100 from her dad.
Yeah, I mean, I hope Brett loses. To tell you the truth, just because
want
it's good
to.
for the world.
Hey, I'm a bad picker. I honestly made the bet because I can lose $100 to X that motherfucker out. If I can put his name in the Death Note book, I'll do it.
Yeah, either way, you win. Basically.
Yeah.
That bet.
I win. I'll pay $100 to be wrong.
Yeah.
On that one for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's extremely unhealthy, and I think that the folly, I don't want to say, I should Adam's folly is what I'm going to call this one.
Okay.
No relation to the name of the actual person. We're just going to call this Adam's folly. I think his folly is that he knows people that work as doctors and in healthcare and stuff, and he hears Trump's diet, and he hears his workout regimen, and he knows all that stuff, but he does not account for him being like evil and extremely rich.
Yeah. Throw money at the problem.
Yeah, he will make it 5. I honestly, and I said this at the party, 10 years at least. He's still got 10.
Is your over-under.
He's still got 10 years left.
Fuck, I gotta get another $100.
Maybe
out.
15.
Wow.
I think he might have 15 years
I'd put
left.
500.
That's why I wouldn't even do the bet.
I might do 500 on a 15.
Oh, on 15.
Yeah, I might do 500 on you.
I don't know where I'm going to be at monetarily in 15 years.
Yeah, I won't be able to.
I hope I can afford 500, but oof, that's a long time.
That's stiff.
Yeah.
That's a lot of talk you're doing there.
But
no, they'll live forever. I mean, I think that too. It's like part of my misery is just thinking that they're going to live to 99. Like all of them are like ghouls forever. They're just walking corpses that completely fuck over the world.
Yeah.
Like
So-
they don't ever get their comeuppance.
So let's talk about. Like I said, I haven't been keeping up with the news, so I have a CNN story
From your cards?
about no, not from my cards. My cards did bring us a story we're going to do tonight now, because I looked and it seemed like, okay, this is a story I want to do. So
right.
we'll do that in a little bit. I want to kind of put a bow a little bit on federal investigators announced that they have launched a civil rights probe into the police shooting of Jacob Blake, a 29-year-old black man in Kenosha, Wisconsin. The U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District Court of Wisconsin said Wednesday that the investigation will be conducted by the FBI in cooperation with the Wisconsin Department of Justice Division of Criminal Investigations, the agency leading the local investigation. I don't see. I know libs think the FBI is like better than the actual city police. I guess
all the movies tell us that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much propaganda for the FBI.
But I think they're still law enforcement in the end. So
Absolutely,
them
they're
investigating the police is kind of like it's Leos investigating Leos, as they say. Let me ask a quick poll question real quick.
Okay.
What do you hate worse, Leos or POTUS? Which one of those two phrases do you hate worse? I think for my money, it's Leos. But POTUS is an infuriating thing to hear a human say.
Yeah, I was going to say, POTUS has no flow to it. Leo's, like, if you're in that full culture of, like, bowing down to the blue, like, calling them that you're Leos kind of seems like a family-type loving thing.
But POTUS feels like somebody trying to be smarter than me.
POTUS
Like-
Peebo?
Yeah, POTUS Peebo. That's right. All you people that were around for the Burberry Wars. POTUS Peebo. But POTUS to me sounds like somebody trying to display their intellect in politics.
It means somebody that has said President of the United States of America so many times that they're annoyed by it now, and so they just say POTUS instead.
Yeah.
But
well,
you gotta, I mean, you do enough, like, if you do enough acid, you do enough psychedelics, like, you get there. You're always complaining about POTUS, and you don't want to just say, like, the fucking name of the song.
I think it's POTUS because
Peaches.
it is. I think it's POTUS because people are like,
I think it's for people who are like graph people and Occupy Democrats types, and also Republican like
wonk.
Ben Shapiro
It's wonk
nerds.
talk.
Yeah, and
it's for
just
somebody to just be like, oh, you order apple teenies and say POTUS? That's so silly. Like,
But
you're one of me.
I think POTUS is worse than Leo's. I'm gonna go POTUS worse than Leo's.
Yeah, Leo's rocks, man. Like, who doesn't want to be a Leo?
It would be a cool thing to be called,
Lion
but they
and
suck,
shit.
you know. Officials identified Officer Rustin Shesky as the police officer who shot Blake when he tried to enter his vehicle. The officer, who has been employed by Kenosha Police for 7 years, was placed on administrative leave, DCI said. So Officer Shesky fired the weapon into Mr. Blake's back, the state agency said in a news release. No other officer fired their weapon. Kenosha Police Department does not have body cameras, therefore the officers were not wearing body cameras.
Yeah, I mean, they just treat the back like it's like a piece of a structure. You know, it's like it's
you
like
can't
saying
shoot a guy in the back.
He was shooting the broadside of a barn.
Yeah. You can't shoot somebody in the back. If you're a cop, you're not allowed to shoot people in the back ever. You should automatically, I think, go. If anybody goes to prison as a cop, I think, you know, actually, the guy that killed George Floyd definitely is like a psycho. But I also think there is this like cowardly streak where these cops will shoot people in the back just because they're terrified. They don't want them to like turn around.
Yeah.
This guy had his kids in the car.
Yeah.
What was he going to do? Was he really gonna fucking pull a gun out? And because I have a kid, I wouldn't put my kid through watching me get killed, suicide by cop. What did they fucking think he was going to do?
Drive away. They killed that guy so he could not drive away and further. They couldn't like ignore their authority. That's what it was. It was a matter of you cannot drive away. I say what happens. If you don't interact with me, you live or die.
Yes.
And totally unnecessary. And you're right. Like, he was going to drive home and cool off is what he was going to do.
Yeah. You shoot a guy. I think if you shoot somebody in the back, it is guaranteed that they weren't a threat to you at that time.
Yeah.
They said he had a knife in his car.
Who doesn't?
Right. Let's play this out, though. He pulls a knife out of his car and then what to the guy with the gun? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like these guys, this guy's driving around with his family. People do, I know this is crazy to the police, but you know, people do love their family, and I would go to jail for I would not risk my family getting shot in my car. And I believe that Jacob Blake he didn't think he was risking getting shot in the back, that he was getting in his car and these cops dehumanize black men so much and make them a threat in their minds that like this guy would do something like this, and like this guy would attack another man with a knife in front of his family. I just don't believe that. Like that, I don't believe that the cop really fucking thought that, you know?
No, they're not, and that's not the culture. They're treated they're taught to treat things differently. But you're absolutely right. Jacob Blake was recusing himself. He was getting out of a circumstance once the police showed up. He was leaving. And that's all you ever want from any altercation, is that everybody gets the fuck out of here. Like, everybody stop this shit that's happening. And the cops showed up and turned it into a homicide.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's this is a guy with 3 kids.
I know.
You know? And they just shot him in front of those kids.
He just wanted to be out of there.
And then the police are going to, like, we talked about this a lot with drone strikes, right? Like, how are these kids going to look at the police for the rest of their lives? You know?
Yeah, what sort of trust could they ever build with a police officer?
And so what is the reform that you could do?
What's the vote?
To fix this?
What's the establishment Democrat that'll change this?
Right. Well, what I'm saying is, like, this is why we say defund and abolish the police. Because there isn't a thing that you can do to just wipe all of this stuff away. You know, you have a rotten institution and it has to go away.
This is how they do business.
Yeah.
This is how they do. This is how, when they interject themselves into a confrontation, they go lethal over really just over authority. It's just a matter of like, you don't follow what I say. Like, you see all the people that follow all of them on Twitter and that answer all of the comments and stuff, and they just are like, you should have done what the officer said. But I honestly do not. I would never sign up for America. They claimed me, but I would never sign up for a contract where if I get in my car to leave a situation with my kids, you can fucking shoot me.
Right.
I don't think that's a fair contract. I don't think that's a good idea. That's not anything I would think any of us are subjected to. And the white people aren't. The fucking white, we know they aren't. We watched that fucking kid, that 17-year-old that murdered 2 people in the protest.
Yeah.
He walked away from that.
He talked to the police. Like, he not only walked away from it, what I understood was he was talking to the police before he went and did the shooting.
Before the shooting, what's his name? Fucking Kyle. Dumbass Kyle.
I know a lot of Kyles that are sweet.
He took the police through water to this 17-year-old kid that was open and carrying an AR-15. Oh my God,
that would be even worse. Yeah. AR-17 would honestly be even worse than an AR-15.
But he's like open carrying this gun, and then the fucking officer stole him a bottle of water and said thanks for being out here, and then he murdered 2 people later that night. And he ran away, and the crowd was chasing him, and the police saw him, and he threw his hands in the air. And they went after, they went to take care of the people that he had just killed, and he got away. No one like second guessed or followed. Like, protesters were yelling at him. I watched the fucking video, man. They were yelling at him. He just murdered people. And he got away. He had his hands up, and he had his rifle behind his back, and he just slinked through the fucking officers and ran away to his fucking mom's house.
Yeah, it's very easy for them to just allow somebody to get away like that.
And you know what? Like, I hope you saw the video of the police giving water to the guy that murdered the protester, because that's where we're all at right now. Like, it's elevating to that level, and you need to square yourself, like, where you want to be in that. Because that is seriously, I think that everybody should not be relying on the police. You know the side they're on. We all know that. Do not stop pretending that they're doing anything else.
Water for the kid with the gun and pepper spray for the people peacefully protesting.
Yeah, 17-year-old with a gun murdering people for Instagram likes.
Yeah, this Kyle guy.
These fucking Facebook militias are bringing people out to show off against police violence,
Yeah, and then, the thing I saw that was pretty gross was that the police actually, the sheriff or whatever came out to give his little speech about that shooting. And he said, those people wouldn't have been shot if they weren't out after curfew. This 17-year-old kid was out after curfew too.
He posted religiously on Facebook about how he left his hometown. He wasn't protecting anything around him. He drove 45 minutes away to go to a place where he could find somebody to shoot, and he fucking did it. It's premeditated murder.
Yeah. And it's also an outside agitator, to tell you the truth,
He should have never left that place. That's how I feel like that's the only way to treat people like that. But it is like, it's terrifying to see all of the good-natured people that just want equal treatment for black citizens with the police, and we get murdered for it.
Yeah.
We get maced to death for it. Like,
yeah. It's very, very sickening what's happening. We've said a lot about the protests too, and if there's something going on, I do want to be there. So if there's something going on in Columbus, obviously we'll try to get there and cover that. And if there is something going on in Columbus and you know about it, please let us know. You can get Murder X Brian and hopefully Murder Brian.
Yeah.
But it might just be Murder X Brian for a few
It's a good name.
months. I think it's kind of cool a little bit. The X, makes me feel like an X-Man or a straight edge punk guy.
Yeah, all the bands, like you would just do it all capital letters and you put X's as spaces. That was my shit.
Yeah, I think it makes the name look cool. I would still rather have my account.
The
back.
one with all
the one with 30,000 followers.
Tens of thousands of people that say we love you and what you say.
Yeah. Now I'm at
You're slumming it.
yeah, man. I am
under 1,000.
I'm a Lobie, is what they would call me.
You
I
gotta
think.
get on that 1,000 representation hashtag.
I got 784 followers right now.
Congratulations, man. You're on a come up. You're on a come up.
Hey, I started this account at 2:00 in the afternoon, so I deserve a little credit here.
Okay.
Even though I do have like kind of a megaphone, a bunch of people letting people know. But you know, the real thing that sucks is there's a lot of my friends I can't DM.
Yeah, that sucks.
Like I thought I was
don't know
gonna.
yet.
Felix found me,
Okay.
so he's an important person that I have to DM.
Well, he's
soon.
been through this before.
Yeah.
He was Swarthy Villain, man.
Yeah.
He ended Swarthy Villain. You might be in your Swarthy Villain phase. Like, he ended Swarthy Villain with about this amount, right?
With 30K, I think he had 50.
Okay. So now you're in your buy your logic phase then.
Hey,
Murder X Brian is your buy your logic.
Yeah, I
It
wish.
happens. It happens.
Yeah. So before we move to the next thing, I do want to quickly stop for 1 second and rest in peace, Riley Gale from Power Trip. We just did a show with him. It's unlocked on the Patreon. 100 million tons of steel. The guy was like really full of life, and he was very kind to us. And we talked to him about death metal, and we talked to him about a lot of stuff. We talked to him about comedy, metal in general, just everything. And he was very nice to us, and very sad to see a guy that a new friend lose their life.
Yeah. You know what when I saw that article come up, it's kind of like I lived in Dallas and lived in DC. And I've had moments both times where you like meet somebody 2 weeks before you're about to move, and like everything about you clicks. Like you just are having a beer, and like they like all the same movies, they like all the same music, like you just make a bro for life, and then you're like, I'm leaving Dallas in like the next month,
Yeah.
And I really, Riley was a really great guy to talk to, and I loved the show, and I loved his energy, and I was really just a big fan of him immediately after meeting him, and we were doing text back and forth, and I was going to get a PS4 to go play some games with him, maybe that was the plans, but he really was somebody that like had a real empathy for the world, and I think that the show that we did with him really highlights like, listen to him talking about being like a fuck up teenager, back in the day, and like that's what we are. And there's so many of us that, drank beer when we were 14 and did horrible things, and we grew up and we have so much empathy for the world, and like we have so much disgust with the world. I think that was the big part about the metal issue for me, is that it's mostly people that want a different world. It's people that want everything wiped clean. Like it's somebody that has like a deep empathy for the world and like the suffering that happens. And I think Riley really had a handle on that. And I really loved his spirit and his energy. And I was so happy to get to do a show with him. And I will continue to enjoy his music forever. But rest in peace, Riley. We'll see you on the other side.
Yeah. Power Trip was great. And he did say on that episode that he believes that something happens after you die. And that really hit me.
He convinced me.
And I think I just, it's a shame to see him go, but I don't think he was scared, I guess, hopefully.
I agree.
I
think relating it to the stuff I was talking about with the hot air balloons and everything, seeing the stories from like street fight people that shared stuff about him, and like the things that he did was really just great to me. Like I know that I've done some cool things for people in their life, and that will stick with them forever. And I think that makes me feel peace with it all.
Yeah.
One of our buddies, I'm going to share this from the Street Fight group, but they said they went to the South by Southwest in 2015. And Power Trip had a show with Turnstile and Killswitch Engage. It was a badge-only show, and those usually go for $1,000 plus. And they had ran into a friend who worked the venue earlier in the day, and he gave them and a friend of theirs 2 VIP stickers. So they were really excited about this, and they get to the venue, and it was absolutely chaos, and all these tech bro industry people are getting in. There's a massive amount of hardcore kids also trying to squeeze their way in because it costs so much money. Like the door guys think everybody's scamming people. And all of a sudden, this guy says, your VIP stickers are fake. You're not allowed in. Get to the back of the line. And so Riley shows up and tells the guy, the door guy at the South by Southwest, says, all these kids are with me. Let them in right now. And he just gets everybody in, and they stood on the side of the stage and watched the whole show.
Yeah, he's a hardcore. He was a big hardcore guy, too. And I don't know. Just check out Power Trip. If you want to listen to an interview, we did the interview. You know, I'm not like trying to promote the interview. I'm just saying, like, if you want to hear this guy, he was a real sweet guy that was very kind, and we really, the world really lost somebody.
Yeah, it's a missed opportunity, you know.
Yeah.
It was really, I was hoping to get to collaborate with him and further, and, you know, we'll figure something out. But, you know, he was a fantastic person and left a mark on the world.
Brett?
What's his name? Punks Around, you know, that fanzine, that guy? He calls in. In Russia, he was...
In Russia?
Yeah. He was like taking care of Power Trip. Like, he was like, don't worry about it. I got you set up. He walked all of their guitar cases like 3 miles and completely fucking destroyed himself. Like, he was huffing and puffing, pretending like he could handle all these guitars, and he fucking wore himself out.
In Russia, gear carries you.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, that was Yakov Smirnoff. That's Yakov Smirnoff.
Very popular
Who I
comedian.
will be seeing live when shit goes
Eventually.
back to normal. Because I haven't told Brett this, but I'm going to try and talk See, here's the plan. I'm going to try to talk Brett into going to Branson, Missouri, which would then mean that everybody else would have to go to Branson, Missouri. And it just seems like a pisser of a vacation. You know, go see Yakov Smirnoff.
Well, I wanna-
like just see 4th tier entertainers all week.
Well, we have to do shows in the places we haven't got to, and talking with the tax guy, like, we can lose money in a way that I think that would benefit all of us.
Branson,
Yeah.
Missouri show.
Yeah, we could go do a show out there for, 50 people and be like, oh, we lost our hats. The same way we're going to do like a Tokyo show and lose our money on
Yeah, that'd be great.
We spent $6,000 on airfare and only 100 people showed up.
The 100 in Tokyo.
Hey, I'm dreaming.
11.
I'm dreaming.
I mean, that's a Vegas show
Don't
if
kill
I
my
ever
vibe.
heard one.
Yeah.
A former Panera Bread worker is going viral after sharing the menu items he claims customers should never order. An ex-employee who goes by the name Mo on social media revealed his list on TikTok. The clip, which has almost 4.6 million viewers, lists 5 items in total. 5 things to never...
Don't touch these.
Don't touch them. This is according to an employee. You know, we don't cover any news well, but we cover what employees are saying better than anything.
I gotta say also, Panera is like...
Shit.
No.
Worst.
No.
Lowest tier fast cash.
If you're driving across the country, it's like the only hope that you can have for like a fresh piece of lettuce.
For a vegetarian, yes, it is the only hope for a good meal
I
for a
hate
vegetarian.
the
But
fried
if you're a
shit-
fucking meat dude,
Yeah, for
like
meat
me,
dudes. Yeah.
you fucking go in there and like they got a turkey sandwich. It's
Yeah,
like,
they
get
get
out of
2
here.
slices.
Like a turkey and cheese.
They don't
Like,
even
I'm not going
pile
to
it
eat a
up.
turkey and cheese. Okay? Ever at a restaurant. Ever.
Yeah, I honestly despise Panera. I've really, it's so bottom barrel, but at the same time, that Fuji apple chicken without chicken does it for me.
I bet it's a hell place to work too. My
Yeah,
guess.
Yeah.
It's just like the
It's one
customers
of those wake up at 4 a.m. jobs. They like bring you in to make mediocre bagels like that nobody wants to eat.
Yeah.
Nobody on the East Coast would eat a fucking Panera bagel, and you're woke up at 3:15 a.m. with a hangover to be there and make them.
Dude, you know, now that you bring this up, my neighbor for a number of years and a good buddy of mine for a period worked at Panera. He's a baker. He works at a better bakery now, but he was working at Panera. to get to his next job. You know what I mean? Like he owned a bakery and then worked at Panera and then got in at a better bakery, right? And he had to be at work at 2:30 in the morning, which was that's not even a morning anymore.
That's when I made donuts.
Yeah, you can't live life at 2:30 in the morning.
There would be Friday nights we would go to a concert or do something, and I'm like, I got to work at 2:30 in the morning. Like, what are you going to do? And I'm like, I'm not going to bed.
Yeah.
For sure, I'm not going to bed.
Just gonna go to fucking work. So
Yeah.
he would work at 2:30 in the morning, and they had it set up so that he had this area that he wasn't supposed to leave, and there were cameras pointed at him the whole time. So like, unless he was clocked out, which you could take your break, you go to the time clock and you do the procedure. If you're not in there, you're in trouble. So he was like basically stuck in this little area of the kitchen doing bread all morning. And I was just like, oh,
Yeah,
God.
I don't want that.
Yeah, it's just a horrible place.
For like the worst amount of money.
Oh, it was no
Like if
money.
somebody was like, I'm going to track your every movement, it's like there better be a payday at the end of that.
Yeah, yeah.
For the least, they pay the least amount of money and expect all of this extra, and that's not implied at all.
Yeah, yeah.
Who the fuck would do anything for under $10 an hour? Like we would do any sort of extra,
Good work.
go
yeah.
the extra mile for under $10 an hour.
I
ever.
mean, what the bread at Panera is not great. You know, you can get better bread.
Yes.
You know.
I honestly don't have any sort of hankering for any of it.
No, nothing at
passable.
Panera. Nothing at Panera is nobody like craves Panera. You know, my
There's probably
daughter
some,
likes
really
their mac
awful,
and cheese.
Like lanyard people.
First on Mo's list, the chain's famous mac and cheese, which his coworker calls soggy. Their comments echoed a video from another former employee who claimed she was fired last year after revealing how the dish is made. It allegedly involves a lot of microwave heating, which is something that we've talked about.
Yeah.
Like that like so much of these fast cash places that people go to that they think are like a little bit up the ladder, you
Yeah.
know? Because if anybody goes to
care.
Subway, if somebody goes to Subway and they see them shove that thing in those chicken breasts in
Yeah.
the microwave, then
They know what's up.
Yeah,
They know what's up at Subway.
that's what you're getting. If they're painting the sorry, my foot itches. If they're painting the grill marks on a Burger King burger,
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I paid for. I paid for you to paint on my motherfucking burger.
Yeah. Tell me an illusion here. Well, the problem is, Panera moved to that method where you watch them work. They just give you that buzzer, like the pager system. Because this happened to us like 6 years ago. I saw them take that fucking that macaroni and cheese out of the microwave, and was like, "What are we paying for exactly here?" You know, like they present it where like it's an open kitchen concept where you can see the people working, but once you see somebody putting a plastic bag of macaroni and cheese in the microwave, you're like, "Dog, I could have done this at my house. Damn, I could have done this at my house." Now that I think about it, now that I see somebody else microwave macaroni, I realize I could have fucking macaraved macaroni.
Yeah, it actually says what they do is they get a big giant plastic bag
Don't they boil it?
and they drop it into hot water.
Yeah, that's why I thought it was a boil in a
Then
bag.
cut the bag open and pour the food into a bowl.
I saw that.
Then they microwave.
It's got all the afterbirth on it and everything from being in that fucking PBH too. It has all the technical slime all over it. Yeah, I mean, I saw them do that forever ago, and it was kind of like, you need to like separate us from this. Like that should not be on display. Like if you're not out here killing fucking chickens and putting them on a sandwich, like keep it back there.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird that they adopted this open kitchen thing when it's for people that own businesses that, like, should be proud of their open kitchen, not somebody that's microwaving half the food.
I know. Is the microwave there? Can you see the microwave
Yes,
at
it's big
Panera?
and silver.
Oh, and they put that big fireplace thing in there.
Yeah.
And that's they don't use that. The people that work there aren't
And
using
also,
that.
it just invites the kind of customer that's just going to micromanage and watch you make the sandwich. Like, they're peeking over the sneeze guard and everything, and they're like, "Oh, I said no raw tomato on that. I only went grilled tomato."
Yeah,
You know,
sun dried. I
I
like
said sun- I
sun
didn't say that.
dried tomato. It's just a terrible place. The next thing is soups. So don't eat the soups. We leave them out for hours. Hours.
So
You don't think that's
I'm
bad?
not, no.
I guess if it's covered. I mean, the shit.
Unless it has mold on it.
Yeah, I don't know. Lukewarm soup sitting out all day. But again, you're going to Panera. You get what you get, you know?
Yeah, don't throw
It's just that mac and these foods are a little bit more pricey at Panera
Yeah.
too, under the understanding that you're getting something
You're right.
decent.
The Campbell's, if I wanted to eat cold Campbell's soups from a can, I have that option. Like, you could at least warm it up for me. I get that's what Panera offers.
Mo also says not to eat the steak and white cheddar sandwich, but that's
Never would.
because the horseradish is too spicy. So
Okay, nah,
it's
yeah.
like, okay. I mean, some people
Yeah, let's
like
get
a
a-
spicy horseradish.
yeah.
Maybe we need somebody with a better palate.
I'd like to hear from somebody else because horseradish is always good. It's never too spicy.
And they also say don't order anything that has bread with it. So I think they were just like really taking
probably
on the
heated.
company.
Yeah,
you
probably
know?
heated.
Yeah, yeah.
Panera, what they suck at the most? Fucking bread.
That's true, though. I would believe that. So the
The
next,
bread's not too bad.
it's not bad. It's like you could get the same vibe from like the grocery store, the big French bread loaf for $1.
Yeah.
You know,
But
that stuff's better.
I'm thinking versus like McDonald's or something.
Yeah, Whack Arnold's has the worst, you know.
But if you're at your house, like you can just make a sandwich that's like heads and tails above what Panera does.
So current and former Ruby Tuesday employees say the chain is closing restaurants without telling staff.
Oh, it sucks.
One former employee told Business Insider they went to work last Thursday only to see moving trucks carting furniture from the restaurant. 3 current employees told Business Insider they knew of other Ruby Tuesday restaurants being closed without notice. The chain appears to be rapidly collapsing, having closed more than a third of its locations this year. Some even after it received millions in loans from the Paycheck Protection Plan.
That's good.
Yeah.
Ruby Tuesday should never have existed.
Right.
It's kind of one of those things where I think that we should. How do you sue people for money they took from us? Like, we should get that as a constituent. Like, I want that PPE money back. Like, we should have never invested in Ruby Tuesday. Should have been gone.
Could we split the PPE money among the employees? Like, should the people that own the place have to split? I don't know how to figure it out. I guess they don't have money.
I mean,
you should be able to somehow get money off of the rich people that run Ruby Tuesday. The fucking top
business
level people.
But like I don't want to save everybody. Like Ruby Tuesday is one that I don't want to save. I want to read the Wikipedia page about Ruby Tuesday and Ponderosa and
15 years you want to read the Wikipedia page about Ruby Tuesday and
Yeah, I
just
don't
be
want them
like,
continuing.
I remember when I used to eat there when I was 18. Me and my wife ate a lot of Ruby Tuesday. Like a lot of it. Basically, as a payday meal. Ruby Tuesday and Applebee's were payday meals. Because we didn't know no better. You know, that was a fancy restaurant to me.
honestly, like what I've seen, like with the money and the distribution of PPE, is that the chains are winning hardcore. Like small businesses, small restaurants are going to be gone when we go into 2021, but like the chains are going to expand. And like I want to get Ruby Tuesday out of here. I guess like I don't need them any further. I mean, what, they got a salad bar on the weekdays?
Right. I'm not trying to save Ruby Tuesday, but I think that like this world that we live in where there's this total lack of transparency for the workers, you know, like they should know what's coming.
Yes.
Nobody
Yes.
that works at Ruby Tuesday thinks their restaurant's going to be closed. It's a behemoth. It's a large company. If I have a job at Ruby Tuesday right now, if my job is at Ruby Tuesday, I feel relatively secure in the fact that I'm going to get my paycheck every week for however long, because Ruby Tuesday has been around for decades. And actually, you know, Ruby Tuesday seems like a 90s invention, right?
So sorry, man.
Yeah.
They have nothing to their name. They have no signature dishes. It's just basically a place where you can get a plate of food for $25 to fuck you up.
What was your favorite when
They
you
probably
were?
got beer burritos or some shit.
What was your favorite place before you had ever tried like good food that you would go and get? 1972, actually. 1996 is when they expanded, though.
Okay.
But for me and Katie, I would go to Applebee's on payday, especially tax return. Get my $700 back for my taxes. We would go to Applebee's and I would order a nice steak. We'd sit down.
Yeah.
I'd have a steak and baked potato at Applebee's, and it was the business, dude. It was the bee's
let's
knees.
go back.
Katie would get whatever, like a nice shrimp scampi sort of thing with like 2 or 3 $20 or $10 cocktail, cocktails, the mostly and we would just sit there and be like, this is fucking living, man. We like had it in our mind that if you sat down at a table, it was a fancy restaurant, and honestly I had no fucking idea that there were other restaurants.
Yeah.
None.
Yeah.
It was very weird. Did you have one that you would go to? Mine was Applebee's, the Bees, as we called it. Eating good in the neighborhood.
I think I was a Fridays person because
Never been there in my life.
They had all of it. It
True.
was like Mexican, fucking Italian, American, all of the stuff together.
I have never been to TGI Fridays
what?
in my entire life.
I misspoke. It's Max and Irma's.
Oh, dip. Yeah.
Before I was a vegetarian, they had this ranchero steak that I thought was like the best shit ever.
I got the garbage burger there a lot.
Max and Irma's.
What is
like
the ranchero steak?
just extra seasoning on like a gross piece of steak?
Yeah. That's so funny, man. Max and Irma's is, I don't think that's national, though.
It's not.
It's a crummy local place.
So
that there's a lot
When
of.
you were a kid, they used to have this Sunday station that was an old bathtub that they converted,
Ugh.
and you get
Just-
Sundays out of a bathtub.
That famous thing people love to do,
Yeah.
eat out of the bathtub.
We eat ice creams out of bathtubs.
I'm looking up Max and Irma's to see how many there
Fried
were.
cheese. I don't know. I honestly, like, I remember being a teenager and being ready to shit all over all of my Midwestern people. I wanted to be New York as fuck. I wanted to have sushi. I wanted to have BB Bop. I wanted to have, like, everything besides TGI Fridays. I was mostly looking for the most outrageous food experience.
I wish I
hated
could have.
American. I mean, I just hated my family in America and everything about it. I still do. Like, I just want to get away from it.
Yeah.
It sucks that everybody I like is here, but I would just do not want to be here.
I agree.
I wake up every day mad that I'm fucking here.
I feel like I just didn't know that there were other.
There were so many
Things,
people on
you
TV that were just like giving you a wink that like you can not be a dumbass that fucking believes in America.
Yeah, there was nobody to me.
David
though.
Bowie was out.
Yeah, I'm afraid of. Okay. So
Just anybody, I like counterculture. I feel like I was so counterculture. I would go eat at a Fridays right now and probably love it. Get like a black bean cheddar jack burger or something.
a bunch of fried shit. Like
Yeah,
cheddar.
I would dig it.
Cheese
Fried
sticks
jalapenos on top
fried-
and shit.
yeah.
I mean, I probably could get down with it, but like when I was younger, I just didn't want to have like that stuff. I mean, I really didn't want to be my family. Like I didn't want to be a fucking Ohio hick. You know?
Yeah, I agree. I wanted to. I guess I didn't either, though. I did.
Well, you
wanna
learn
be-
that it's way easier to just be an Ohio hick than anything else. Like, it comes naturally.
All right, Brett.
But I fought against it.
Before we roll out of here, let's do a few conservative parables. Does that
Okay.
sound good?
Yeah, teach me something.
Do you miss? This is a
Is there
funny.
a cat jumping on the screen or something?
Probably. This is very rich for you. The difficult science problem. This is
about
the
boxing?
parable of the difficult science
The
problem.
difficult science problem. I remember this.
Physics 401 was the most difficult course in the entire college, having problem sets that would take many hours to complete each week. The students often worked on the homework together, as allowed and even encouraged by the professor. Students were also able to consult books and online resources in solving problems.
Oh my God.
I think I know where we're going. I know.
This is impossible. I mean, these are the most genius problem solvers that have ever existed. They live on it. They eat it up every single day. They're just solving problems.
As the course progressed, the problems became increasingly difficult and complex.
Like-
Some students were better than others at solving the problems. Reputations developed about which students had answers and which ones did not.
Who was willing to save somebody's lives versus who saw them as like useless.
Also, yes, Matt. This is
They're talking about the Great Trolley Problem, right?
This also feels like a story about a college by somebody that like didn't go to
Never
college and doesn't know what they do at college.
This is a great fantasy about college.
Near the end of the course, the teacher assigned a particularly difficult problem to the class. The night before it was due, the students gathered as they had been throughout the course and worked as hard as they could to find the answer. One student who had a reputation for not being smart claimed he had the answer started to explain it to the others. What?
The not smart guy?
He started to explain it to the others, right? But the smarter students quickly rejected his approach to the problem and told him to be quiet. Despite trying several times to describe his answer, he was ignored. The next day... Yep. Go ahead.
Sometimes people in this life, they'll look at your dumb ideas, they'll say, you're not smart.
That is really what we're getting at here.
This is somebody that's been told over and over again, like, you lack critical thinking skills, you're not smart.
The next day, the students handed in their homeworks. And the following week, the professor returned their graded papers. He said that only one student had answered the difficult problem
The non-smartest of them all. The dumbest of you all came through. There's one donkey in this class, and we all know who it is. He has the most wisdom. It comes from Jesus.
The student was the one who had tried to explain it to the others, but they would not listen.
Yeah.
The one student had found the correct answer in a book not used by the other student.
What? He studied Instagram posts that like the school doesn't teach about.
He looked at Newsmax and WorldNet Daily, and he found this is really
the answer to all of your questions is on Breitbart.com.
Yeah, that is a very funny one though. That is so clearly written by
on themselves.
I know. They even called themselves dumb.
Yeah, I wasn't invited to all the cookouts because I'm super dumb. But guess what? I found the truth. The dumbest of you all knows what's going on. I made up on Instagram.
That is a really good one, though. The Prodigal Son is this
one.
I've
heard of that.
Yeah.
Cain and Abel shit.
A good man had two sons.
Yep.
One of them was, it's a good man that had
I hate this parable too.
One of them was defiant and insisted on ignoring and disobeying his father, leaving him and then squandering his money on immoral living in a distant land.
Smart son. That's the smart son.
No,
remember, we want to be the dumbass. You want the point of this parable is to be the stupidest person in the room.
It's another one.
So do not follow the person that took all of that money to enjoy themselves.
Yeah, he did a bunch of immoral living in a distant land. He refused to return to his father to ask forgiveness. Oh my God, this really does read like people that haven't been invited to the cookout writing stories. Eventually, the defiant son had children of his own. Living in squalor, his own suffering children would ask him about their grandfather. One day, his own children asked why they never visit Grandpa. Oh my God, this is the best story.
Yeah, every kid grows up thinking about their grandpa.
For the first time, the man looked at himself objectively and realized how illogical and wrong it was for him to abandon his own father. You can't abandon your parents. It's the like other way around, you know? Like, how are you abandoning your parents? Your parents don't need you to live.
No.
You know? This one is so good. He finally returned home to ask forgiveness and brought his children with him. That really reads like the guy that eats TV dinners every year wrote a story. TV dinners on Thanksgiving every year wrote a story. And he was like, well, you know, I usually would watch the football game, but I'm boycotting the NFL.
Yeah.
I'd usually watch a movie, but they're all made by libs. Maybe I'll write myself a little story about how it's all of my family that are actually the stupid, immoral ones.
Yeah. You know, my favorite book of the Bible is about a young man that gets into drugs and alcohol and has a child, and then he regrets it for the rest of his life. You know, there's that great parable about the man that has kids that just hates them with every ounce of his body, and he wants to get rid of his wife, you know? That's what it comes off. I'm like,
It really does read as a person who is not liked by many people wrote that story.
Yeah.
The last two, really, they're both stories about people who nobody likes or are kind of stupid.
God will make the most stupid of us the most faithful.
Right. And I want to be clear because we did these last week, and I want to say we are not like, this is not things written to make fun of conservatives. This is off of conservapedia.com. This is their fucking thing.
Was that the conclusion of the story?
That was the conclusion of the story.
Basically, you can go do shit and then come back and get back?
If you ask your dad for forgiveness.
If you say, hey, Dad, I thought you were bullshit, but now I see why you hate being alive.
That's just somebody.
I'm a dad now, too. I hate being alive, just like you.
Oh my God!
I listen to Crossfade in my garage.
Yeah,
I listen to all the rock and roll in my garage by myself.
So funny. Those are two stories.
I mean, I don't identify. That's like I do not want to be close to that person. I don't want to understand that point of view. Like I want to get away from it.
And it's
You ever have everybody tell you you're the dumbest person in the room and just know you're smarter than all of them? How much does that suck? When God comes, He's gonna show them all. It's like what the fuck?
When God comes, He's gonna show them all.
God's got my back on that one.
The leader of a nation.
Being the dumbest in the person in the room, God's got your back.
Yeah, thank you, God. You
Thanks,
know,
God.
Last
God
one.
loves everybody. That is why I'm kind of jealous of God. He does love everybody. He doesn't judge those people for being the stupidest person ever.
Yeah. Okay, let's do this one because I said I would do this. I said I would do this and didn't do it last week. The story of two psychiatrists. Or how to deal with liberal critics.
Two people that have never been to college, that have never visited a therapist, and are just making all of this up based upon TV.
Yes, of course. The Sopranos, probably.
Yeah.
It's like they think that you lay on a couch at therapy, you lay down.
Oh, my mom and dad was mean to me.
And some guy in a sweater sits there and writes things down.
Some liberal in a fucking sweater that looks feminine is like, ooh, you were definitely abused when you were a child.
All your problems are all your mom and dad's fault.
They did everything wrong. They've left you with so much trauma.
Yeah. They really do think that when you go to therapy, you just say all my problems were. Your therapist says all your problems were your parents' fault.
Yeah, basically.
So,
fuck those guys.
Doesn't have anything to do with you.
Cut off from them.
Ryland Evans, the famed columnist, was having lunch with Ronald Reagan in 1987. 6 years into his presidency, a milestone by which the previous 5 presidents had been defeated, resigned in disgrace, refused to consider re-election, or assassinated.
Is that true?
Yeah, but I mean, you can't.
That's a good run, though.
That was.
I like the stat.
That was maybe America's best run.
That's a good stat. Yeah, when we were fucking with the presidency hardcore, we wasn't going to just let him get away with it.
They say that we have high levels of disrespect for the presidency now, but I mean, listen to that run there.
Whew,
you know?
They disrupted that thing forever. We have to continue this.
It would be nice.
It's un-American not to.
Somehow Reagan was shining through, making it look easy, and was enormously popular. Evans, a tough old newsman, was in awe. He looked Reagan in the eye and said, "You know, Mr. President, I've known you for more than 20 years. I first met you in 1966, and the amazing thing is that you don't look any older now than you did back then. And the criticism never gets you down. How do you do it?"
When did this happen?
This guy's a hard-nosed newsman. This happened in 1987. Okay, so
He just went ahead and hit him with that.
he sat him down and said, "Look, buddy, you're fucking handsome."
Let's get this straight. I'm not your regular journalist.
Yeah, I'm hard-nosed.
I want to know the real shit.
I'm a hard-nosed journalist, and I'd like to sit you down and tell you you're as handsome as you've ever been. Okay? You run this country like a well-oiled machine. You've had the presidency longer than the past 5 presidents.
Yeah. Where's the wrinkles? Where's the gray hairs?
Yeah,
You're
come on,
shining.
Ronnie.
You're fucking glowing right now.
In response, Reagan offered a
Was he putting brain
parable.
by this point?
What?
He was putting brain at this
I
point.
don't think so. 87. Well, he was, making jokes and stuff. He was in a bad spot. In response, Reagan offered a parable. Let me explain it this way.
Okay.
So that was the lead up to the actual parable.
Let me hit you with some Jesu Christo.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Let me tell you the story of two psychiatrists, the old psychiatrist and the young psychiatrist who had a practice together. They'd come into their office every day just bubbling with enthusiasm, always happy, upbeat, smiling, and chipper. Then they'd go into their separate suites and have patients come in and lie on the couch all day and talk about the woes of their lives.
Yeah.
At 6 p.m., they'd come out and the young psychiatrist would be devastated, wiped out by the day with a stomach ache and just miserable. The old psychiatrist would be just as chipper and smiling and upbeat as he was when he went in that morning. This went on for a number of months.
Yeah, that's inspiring.
Yeah, finally.
People can be miserable and you can just like feel good about it. I love that.
Yeah.
Like instead of feeling bad, you just feel good at someone else's like plight and misery.
These young fucking dumbasses give
Yeah.
a shit about people. What's their fucking problem?
You're getting kicked out of your house. I don't care. Like, right? Like, I don't have to think about that.
Yeah.
I don't have to be empathetic at all.
The COVID convictions is like, if I can smile around and whistle during
Sure.
these evictions
Yeah.
during COVID, I mean, I'd be happy.
What's
That's
going
what
on?
happy is.
Yeah.
Being able to shrug off the woes of society is a really great
easy.
conservative trait.
It's easy when you got enough money to do it.
Yeah. Okay, so finally one day they came out at 6 p.m. The young psychiatrist devastated as usual, and the old psychiatrist just as happy and smiling as he was when he went in.
I'm siding with him. I have been through this game enough now that I know being fucked up and doom and gloom all the time is not the way to do it, and that
True.
like you will get yourself in that rut, but you have to dig out of it.
Yeah.
So maybe there about to be some wisdom in this. Maybe it'll be the first. I'm ready to be convinced by this parable.
Uh-oh. I don't think you're gonna. I think
it'll be
I would lay
inspiring.
down money that you won't be inspired because I've read the last sentence of this. It's not. The moral of the story is not what you think it is. I can promise you. The young psychiatrist stopped and said, "I don't understand it. We do the same thing every day, and I leave wiped out by hearing patients all day, and you come out after patients have been streaming in and out of your office just as upbeat as ever. How do you do it?" The old psychiatrist paused a minute and said, "I never listen."
Cold. Just cut yourself off from everybody else. You'll be just fine.
These are
As long as the checks are cashing, who gives a fuck about anybody else, bro? I put on this little uniform and I pretend to care about these chuckle fucks all day long, and I'm getting paid.
Man, conservatives have a dark heart. That is a
Man.
dark heart
They've also
shit right
people
there.
that have never bothered to visit a therapist.
No,
they don't
hell
have
no.
the guts. Like this is all speculation. Like the thing when I was referencing earlier, I remember when the Menendez brothers came out and off their parents. That was the big talking point with Rush Limbaugh and everything, was that all of these liberal media people are going to tell you that their parents were wrong for being dysfunctional and abusive. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. I mean,
They
they
blame
hate,
it all on the parents.
they hate the idea of like, they just hate that thing about being kid, like their offspring, because they're not kids. You know, I'm 40, and I'm 41, right?
Sure.
And conservatives like hate the idea that I have problems with my dad. You know what I mean? Or my parents.
Yeah.
Even.
Yeah.
Which to me is like they hate it. They think that there's a very clear hierarchy in the world.
Yes.
And the people above you are your parents. The people above them are their grandparents.
I swear to God, I've had people that have complained about the chain up the ladder. There's a family I'm very closely related to that has great grandparents that are still alive in their 90s, and they did atrocious things, but they are at the top of the ladder, so there's nothing else you can do. You listen to 90 minutes of people saying, all these people fucked me up in X amount of ways, but they're also the oldest person around, so I also think that's cool and respect them.
Yeah.
And I could never, ever complain about them.
They make all the decisions, and we just do what they decide.
Yeah.
If there's a family gathering, we have to go where they want to go.
Yeah.
And shit like that. They just, it's so
Just
wild
like
to
people
me.
that are like people like the family members that fucked me up, I do not fuck with anymore. But I still have cousins and relatives and people that are on the level with me that I can still relate with. But like, you have to hit that point where you don't go back into the family fucking dysfunction. Like, you can't go back into like the way that things are in the family, where this guy or gal at the top of the food chain gets to say whatever the fuck they want that's rude and gets to tell you, lies.
Yeah, tell you to fuck off. Basically, a lot of times it's like your feelings, what you're feeling is not valid because I disagree with the way that you're living. And I'm a straight white guy, so I don't even get a lot of that stuff. But I can't imagine being like LGBTQ or like even like somebody who brings a person of color home from to their white parents' house and shit like that, like I couldn't even imagine dealing with that.
But you know what? I'm not gonna equate them, but like being a dude and like not being allowed to have feelings and shit, like they are from a very primitive time period where it was like you can't just say out loud, I have a problem with my parents. You just have to suffer in fucking silence and
never say it,
and never say it and treat everybody fucked up and expect them to understand how you feel about shit.
Right.
Like, you never get to actually say out loud, like, I disapproved with the way my parents fucking raised me. Like, you just have to accept it as the law of the land. Like, and they are just going to cling to that, and I think we're getting rid of it. I think that, more than anything, I love that, like, on their deathbeds, if they're going out on a ventilator on COVID because they think it's a hoax, they get to see their grandkids, boys. They don't want to see boys saying out loud, like, I feel bad, or I'm suffering, or a woman hurt me, or any vulnerability. Like, that is exactly what they're trying to fucking shut down.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. I mean, and like, even that thing where it's like, it kind of feels like those feelings were things that they didn't, a lot of times those feelings didn't come out because it made the people that you're talking to feel bad. I mean, the thing about it is a lot of people's fucked up parents are parents that bother them, at least in respect to my parents, like they don't think that they did anything wrong, and they don't think, they think they were active and they think they were there and they don't think that they did all the yelling and all that shit. And like, they don't think that shit.
I mean, I'm appreciative that there was a roof over my head and food, but like you have to make the decision on whether you reject that as like enough or not.
Yeah.
And that people that do subscribe to this idea of like, respect the patriarchy, like that was obviously bust. Like the writing has been on the wall for so long to continue all of this because old dudes are not setting us up for success at all. Like they're completely fucking miserable. Like everything about what they say, all their parables are about being miserable. Being miserable and then you die alone.
Being disliked.
Yes.
And
being
refusing...
the stupidest person in the room that's not willing to listen to smarter people and adjust your opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's the show. Very good.
Thanks for listening to Street Fight. You can find us. We just did a live show with the Go Off Kings. I think it's on their Twitch. So if you go to twitch.tv, look for the Go Off Kings. We did a show with them. We are doing a live show this Friday night on Littlefield's Zoom stage. The way that's going to work is basically you will be able to watch for free on YouTube and Facebook. But in order to get in the chat, it's going to be a $10 ticket. That gets you into the Zoom chat. Brian and I are going to have a monitor here watching the Zoom chat. We're going to be taking a lot of input from the crowd. This is going to be a very interactive show, and it really is revolving around raising money for the staff at Littlefield and raising money for the People's Justice Project. We were supposed to do a show, the Hellfire 2 tour with Trillbillies with Tanya and District Sentinel Radio. We were going to do that back in May, and Littlefield is trying to keep the doors open and make sure that all their staff is paid and offer us a chance to do a live show. So we're doing that this Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Head to littlefieldnyc.com to buy tickets for that. Once again, you can watch it for free. That we want to make sure that all of our stuff is available to everybody, but this is a fundraising affair, so please consider just going to littlefieldnyc.com, buying a ticket for the show. It's $10. It goes to People's Justice Project. That's the local Black Lives Matter organization here in Columbus, and it will also benefit the staff at Littlefield. We're also doing a fundraiser right now with Wavy, the fellow here that did all of this mural behind me for the Means TV show. We have a t-shirt pre-order that's going on right now. We're raising money for the Greater Columbus Arts Council.
Greatest Columbus!
It is. Greatest Columbus Arts Council, GCAC.org. They have a emergency fund right now for Franklin County artists, and Wavy has received several checks from them on the regular, and he said that if he had the chance to give money back, he wanted to make sure it went to an organization like GCAC. So we're splitting that 3 ways. Wavy, who's on unemployment right now, GCAC, and Street Fight. We're going to be covering a lot of the other costs too, but head to store.streetfightradio.com. We have long sleeve shirts, t-shirts, and masks ready to go. If you're a Patreon subscriber, you got that 20% discount coupon. We will be back on Sunday taking your calls. I think Wavy's going to be with us for that. He has to finish up the background here. So we will see you on Sunday. Find us on everything else. We're Street Fight WCRS. Peace.